So it's been quite a while since I've camped on the summit of Helvellyn. I'm actually a little bit concerned about being able to pitch up tonight. I'm looking at the floor now and it is absolutely frozen solid. I think it's impossible to get a peg in. I think it's going to be borderline impossible to pitch a tent up here. I am very, very close to the edge, and it turned out that the snow was a lot softer than I thought it was going to be. The pegs were just kind of pulling out. Christ, I have to be really careful though, because that tent's just going to blow away otherwise. Well, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a wild camp up Helvellyn. The forecast for today is looking pretty grim. It's going to be 45-mile-an-hour winds and -12 apparently. This is according to MWIS, so we'll see. Another very late one today, 3:30. So the sun's going to be setting in about an hour and a half. I'm an idiot. But really struggling with motivation to get out. I ended up lying on the bed for a few hours with the cat. Just decided whether I could be arsed or not. It's strange really. I mean, I always love it when I get out. So it doesn't really make any sense that I'd have such a battle getting out. But I do. So it's been quite a while since I've camped on the summit of Helvellyn. One thing I do know is it's really quite hard to find somewhere to pitch. Not very many flat places, and the flat places tend not to actually have anywhere where you can stick your pegs. So I'm actually a little bit concerned about being able to pitch up tonight because it is so cold. The ground is going to be frozen, so I think I'm going to really struggle to get the pegs in. So this may end up being an aborted wild camp, but we'll see. Fingers crossed I'll find somewhere. A bit of a trip there. So I finally got my car back. If you're ever thinking about buying a Land Rover, one of the modern ones, just don't do it. They are absolute knobheads, they really are. My car now, over the last 2 years, I think it's had about 14 grand's worth of repairs done to it. So the route I'm taking up Helvellyn today, starting from Swirls, is very sharp and steep, so it doesn't ease you into it, it's just straight off with the steepness. So there's going to be quite a lot of panting going on today. So when I was on the bed before, contemplating life and deciding whether or not I could be arsed going out today or not, I was also deciding whether to do Helvellyn today or whether to drive straight up and do Ben Nevis. In the end I decided that because the car has only just recovered from an electrical fault that may not be fully cured, it would make more sense to stay a little bit local. Still a 2-hour drive, so it's not too local, but better than the 6-7 hour drive of Scotland. Whew. I say this every video, but honestly, it is hard work. It takes some getting used to, going up steep ascents while you're talking to a camera. But I'd imagine it's going to be pretty good for your cardiovascular system and all that. So, never mind. Yeah, so as I say, I was really struggling to get out today, which is, it's crazy when you think about it. You know, I mean, just look at how beautiful these views are. It doesn't really make that much sense when you think about it, but at the end of the day, my mind doesn't make that much sense most of the time, so you just have to roll with it. I think the winds that I camped in the other week were more severe than what I should be expecting tonight. But tonight is going to be quite different in the sense that last time I set up when there was no wind at all, and today I think I'm just going to be setting up in the 40-45-mile-an-hour winds, which is always the biggest challenge, to be honest. Once you tense up, it's usually okay from that point on, but yeah, we're going to see. We'll see how this goes. I'm still kind of 50-50. It's possible that if I choose to abort, I may actually end up camping a little bit lower down. Helvellyn, for me, is pretty notorious for not being able to camp on because it's very rocky on the top, so very hard to get your pegs in. And then add on to that the fact that the ground is going to be well and truly frozen today. It might just be mission impossible, but lower down should be doable. So I paid for 14 hours in the car park anyway, so we'll see. We'll see. Look, just look at this. Look at that. So I've just took a measurement of the wind and it's just over 30 mile an hour. So I'm getting pushed around a little tiny bit, but it's not too bad. I would imagine, given that I'm fairly sheltered where I am and it's still 30 mile an hour, that it is going to be what the forecast reckons, and about 40, 45 on the summit. So it should be quite an interesting night. I'm just hoping that I can find somewhere to pitch up. I did speak to a couple of fellas who were walking down and they were planning on camping, and they aborted, and they basically said that the ground is totally frozen everywhere. So a little bit of snow, always lovely. Look at that bloody sun. So the sun's about to set in about 5 minutes. I reckon I've still got at least an hour's worth of light still before I need to put my head torch on. Whoa! Absolutely beautiful though, beautiful, beautiful colours. I'm really glad that it came out. It's ridiculous what you do to yourself. I mean, I don't really get why our brains would do this to us, but they bloody well do. It's actually really quite gusty. The constant speed's not that bad, but really quite vicious gusts. I always find it crazy when you see cornices from this angle. You can just see just how far off from the actual edge of the cliff the cornice goes, or the cornice, whatever you want to say. I'm just going to make my way up and summit Helvellyn first, have a little look around, but I'm looking at the floor now and it is absolutely frozen solid. I think it's impossible to get a peg in, so we'll see if I can find a little bit of a softer area up there. So I'll tap the summit and then have a little scout around. The sun's gone down, so I think I've got 40 minutes of light maybe. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. To be honest, I feel quite comfortable camping in this wind, but only if I can get pegs in. Obviously, if I can't get pegs in, it's not going to be secure enough to withstand the constant barrage of these gusts. So just see the trig here. Give the trig a little tap, and then we're good. Stride and edge looking rather bare there compared to the last time I came up here. To be honest, it's a little bit of a naff winter we're having here. Very promising start, early start, but since then it's been a bit shite. So that's not very good. Right. I've been mooching around a little tiny bit and the ground is absolutely frozen solid. So I'm probably gonna have to dip down a little tiny bit. So there's little patches of snow around. I might have a little look here and see whether this snow's any good. Snow's great for camping because it levels everything off and obviously gives you a bit of purchase for your pegs when the ground might not do it. So let's have a little look here. There's a bit, it's on way more of an angle than I was hoping. I have camped up here a couple of times, so I know that there is one or two places. Have a little stroll up to the wind shelter, just so you can see. I do love the way that this is a four-sided shelter, so protects you from any direction. Let's have a little look over here. I'll be honest with you, I think I came here a bit too late to have a proper scout around. I'm not going to spend too long running around trying to find somewhere. Have a little look. I mean, it's absolutely crazy how frozen this floor is. It's not that crazy. It's been sub-zero for the last week. I think it's going to be borderline impossible to pitch a tent up here, so I'm going to drop down a little tiny bit. I don't want to drop down too much because, you know, I like my summit camps. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to turn the camera off and have a little stab around with some pegs. Well, sadly, I think my mental health got the better of me there, and I decided to just descend and leave it. I could have found a couple of places on the way down to camp, but I just really couldn't be bothered. But still, it was a nice hike, about 8 miles or so. Worthwhile getting out, but a shame I didn't get to do the camp. Probably not going to make this into a video. And if I do make it into a video, I'm not going to include that bit because it would make no sense. But I don't know, I might include it anyway just because it's a bit weird, you know. Well, I'm back at Swirls car park. It's now 2 days later on the Sunday. So I've decided to come back up a little bit earlier. I'll give myself plenty of time to pitch up, find a nice spot. It's not the earliest start, it's still 1:20, but much earlier than my last attempt. What a difference the weekend makes. It was so empty when I came up here on Friday. It's Sunday now and it is absolutely crawling with humans. It wasn't the intention to talk about mental health on this video. This was meant to just be a simple wild camp. But given what happened on Friday, it does seem appropriate. So I'm not going to talk about it on the way up. I'm actually just going to crack on and get up there. But when I'm in the tent later on, I'll have a little chat to you about hiking and mental health and how it all links. If you're interested, of course. Well, it is crazily busy up here. I can't believe what a difference it makes coming up on a Sunday versus a Friday. I've done this route dozens of times and I've literally never seen it this busy. Just a constant stream of people going up and down, which is lovely in one way, but it's my mountain. It is really hard. It's so busy here. As soon as I start getting into the flow, another group of people come down, and because I'm new to this YouTube thing, I still find it really uncomfortable, so I feel very embarrassed and I just stop talking when they come. So according to the Mountain Weather Information Service, it's going to be 40-mile-an-hour winds today, roughly -15 temperature, so not quite as bad as it was on Friday, but still not too shabby. Should be a little bit exciting. When you're doing a summit camp in windy weather, it is really important that you find a good spot where you can get your stakes right in, because they're going to be getting tugged on the whole night, so it needs to be as secure as possible. My pack's much heavier today than it usually would be, because I've decided to bring some cooking ingredients and do some cooking when I camp up, just to give myself something to do. I usually stick to dehydrated meals in the winter just to save weight, and I do most of my interesting cooking in the summer when you've got really long days and you need to fill that time with something. Well, we've got a pretty steady 20-mile-an-hour wind on the way up here. Hopefully it'll stay around that for when I'm pitching my tent. Oh, what an absolutely beautiful day. Again, as always, glad to manage to get out. Some of you may have noticed that I've got a slightly different backpack on today. So this is the second in my set of 2 that I got made by Atom Packs, both with the same design, both winter specific, but this is my 60 litre, whereas the other one's 35-40. So I still plan on doing a video to review those 2 at some point. It's just trying to find the right weather to do it outdoors. One thing I'm noticing about this 60 litre backpack is it doesn't half catch the wind compared to my 35-40 white one. Fairly obvious too, but still. About 100 metres or so from the top now. Got a little bit foggy, so that's it. That's all I've got to say on the matter. It would be nice if the wind didn't pick up before I pitch my tent. It's a pain in the arse trying to pitch a tent when it's really gusty. So it's totally doable, but always best avoided. Maybe about another 15 minutes or so and I'll be at the top, and then I'll start looking for somewhere to pitch. Still got about 2 hours of light, so doing well for time. It's very, very busy up here, so I want to avoid pitching while there's loads of people around. But at the same time, if I find somewhere, I'm going to nab it. Well, I just thought I might as well tell you a little tiny bit about Helvellyn while we're just about to summit. So it's I think it's the 4th tallest mountain in England, one of only 4 Munros, which is a mountain that's over 3,000 metres. So I think it's Scafell Pike, Scafell, Skidder and Helvellyn. They're the 4 Munros. I'd say Helvellyn's the most popular of the Munros in England. Scafell Pike obviously is going to be very popular because of being the tallest in England, but it's a pain in the arse to drive there. So this one's really accessible. It's just off the road, so people do tend to do this one a lot more. And you've got stuff like the edges, and there's a lot more kind of interesting stuff going on around this mountain than the other Munros. So, and I know, technically they're probably not Munros, but I think we just kind of accept that any peak over 3,000 is a Munro, even if it's not in Scotland, before you start correcting me on that. Not having the best winter at the moment, not that much snowfall, very promising start, but a bit of a crap middle. I am going to be going to Scotland in a week, I think, to do Ben Nevis. So I'll camp up there, maybe do a gully and do the CMD arete. Just depends on whether I can get a little break in the weather. I do often start walking. So I often chase the winter in Scotland. So I kind of get as much in England and Wales done as I can, and then I kind of head up to Scotland and catch the end of it. Luckily in Scotland, you can get some really good winter days out even in April. So that's it's always a handy bonus there. I always feel a little bit disappointed if a winter passes me by and I've not done at least one gully or winter ridge or something. And I know I did Stride and Edge a few weeks back. Come on now. I know I did Stride and Edge a few weeks back, but it wasn't the most extreme winter weather, even though it was very pretty. Little bit of deja vu there. Well, I'm just at the windbreak. Gonna have a little look around now. I've got about an hour, I think. Hopefully it won't get too cold. Just need to find somewhere flat to pitch up. Well, I've been wandering around now for about half an hour trying to find somewhere. Proving rather challenging because the visibility is only a couple of meters, so it's hard to kind of find anywhere that's flat. And when I do find somewhere, it's just rock. You can't even put a stake in a single inch. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop down Swirl Edge and just camp at the tarn. It's not exactly a summit camp, but to be honest, I could spend another half an hour wandering around here and not find anywhere suitable. I'm just going to mooch over here now and drop down Swirl. Usually, I'm hoping I don't need crampons and arcs because I can't be arsed getting them out. You do sometimes need them because it's a steep drop in to get to Swirl, so we'll see. If it wasn't so busy, I could actually camp here, which is slightly just off the cornice. I think I'd definitely be able to get my pegs in here. Or I'm thinking, you know what? Might just fucking try it, sod it. We'll see. Well, I think I'm actually just going to camp like right at the summit. It's not quite the cornice, so it's a bit further away from that. But I've just tested, and you can get your pegs in quite far. So I'll have to see how it goes. I might try and pitch up and then see, because this is going to get battered by the wind, this section here, so it is going to be extreme. But I mean, it's snow and I've got snow pegs, so there is quite a big patch of snow, which obviously it leads over to the cornice, but I'm far enough away from the cornice for it not to be part of that. The snow's consolidated, but it's not like rock solid, but I think it should be all right. If I put 8 snow pegs in and a few extra pegs, I think I should be good. Well, gotta try. Let me just have a quick look now, because I am pretty close to the edge, so it's going to get absolutely bombarded by the wind tonight. Yeah. bloody cold. Well, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to pitch it and then move it around. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing something called a dead man's anchor. So basically, you cut a channel in the snow, so you cut yourself a T shape in the snow, wrap your peg around, making sure that the scoop side is this way round, and you put it in the shape we just made in the T. Right, once you've done that, you bury it. So if you just do it as normal, you're probably going to have it uproot in the night. So now when you tighten it, there we go. This is going absolutely nowhere. So I'm just going to do that on all four corners. I'm not going to do it on the actual tent corners. I've just buried them as they were. Well, this is my pitch for the night. I am very, very close to the edge. And it turned out that the snow was a lot softer than I thought it was going to be. The pegs were just kind of pulling out. So what I've done, each peg has been buried under the snow. So luckily at the moment we don't actually have that much wind, so I was able to set up quite well. So each of the four guy lines on the corners are dead man, so they're going absolutely nowhere. These guy lines are just using MSR 9-inch stakes, but they've been buried, so it just adds that extra little bit of security, because they would have just pulled out with the movement. So I got really, really lucky, and there wasn't much in the way of wind while I was setting up, but I am right on the very summit. So I'm only maybe 10 meters away from the edge, which is not ideal, to be honest, but I literally couldn't find anywhere else. So this is my tent, and then if I turn around, a bit breezy here. Yeah, so like maybe 15 meters or so is the actual edge. I don't want to be falling down there in the middle of the night. So I'm stood at the edge now. It's a lovely tent that though, I've got to say. Perfect. Right, so I'm going to get myself set up inside. It feels rock solid, which is what we want. As little movement as possible. So purely for vanity, I swapped out all of the guy lines for these orange ones and some white clips. But what I found as I was setting up is the knots were pulling through, which is absolutely crap, because it doesn't matter how good my pegs are. If that pulls through, the guy line's gone. So I've had to double knot them. A little bit alarming that, to be honest, like, so, but they're all double knotted, so they shouldn't come through. But we'll see. It does look very pretty though with these orange lines. Let's hope they don't fail and I end up dying because of vanity, because that would be shit. So I'll be honest, this is not quite the sketchiest pitch I've ever done. Probably the second. The first sketchiest pitch I ever did was actually just off the CMD arete. I was walking around and I had two choices really: drop right down and camp kind of where the ground is soft, or camp right next to the cornice, which is where I ended up doing it. But what I noticed is when I was putting the pegs in, I was putting them in on an angle, and any kind of movement was actually driving the peg out, which was not ideal. So as I've shown you before, I ended up dead man anchoring each of the four guy lines. The four corners of the actual tent have just been, there's a snow peg in there, just as a standard kind of method, not a dead man. But what I've done is I've buried every peg, so there's no possibility of movement. By all accounts, it's well pitched. I can't imagine it's actually going to go anywhere, but it just depends on how severe this wind gets tonight. It's really quite mellow at the moment, but I was looking and, you know, mountain weather information says it's going to get up to 40. 40 is enough to blow your tent around, and if there's any kind of, if there's any weak point, the wind's going to find that weak spot and it's going to uproot my tent and I'm going to fly off that way. Luckily, the wind is likely to be coming from the edge, so I'm not going to blow off the cliff towards striding edge. I'm going to kind of blow down the other way. Not the safest spot, I admit, but pretty well pitched, so we should be good. We should be good. Right, so I've got, I don't know if anyone's ever seen this, Cascade Wild. It's like an ultralight table, so just a really simple design. There we go. Mad little ultralight table. I'll put down below what weight it is, but piss all is the answer to that one. So this as well, this is the bag that I use for my dehydrated meals, but it also doubles up as a really useful kind of bag for your fresh ingredients. This is a little chopping board. Let me just check. It looks like it's gone pretty dark. Oh wow. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Well, I mean, I probably should have been expecting that, but I wasn't. Mental whiteout. I thought it had gone dark really quickly, but visibility's just completely disappeared out there. Right then, let's get cracking with this grub. So, I've got 2 chicken breasts and some chorizo, a red pepper and 2 Scotch bonnets, some lemon and herb rice, and some chickpeas. Right, so, and I've also got a little bit of hot sauce to go with it. Right, so let's get chopping this up. So I've never actually cooked inside a tent with Scotch bonnets before. I can imagine that's going to be fun. little Scotch bonnets there. Oof, I can smell them. Right. Let's get this little red pepper sorted. Scotch bonnet out of the way there. It's a petal climbing knife, but it does it works wonders for peppers. Peppers on my plate here. Get these Scotch bonnets done. This will be fun. Not very often you get yellow Scotch bonnets. I do love the taste of Scotch bonnets. Lovely heat to them, but a very distinctive taste, which is what I like. What I'm going to do is, I've got the 2 chicken breasts in here and the chorizo, so what I'll do, I'll put the chicken breasts on the chopping board, and then I'll put the chorizo in the pan because that's getting fried first to get the oil going. Little spatula for cooking in a bit. Okay, so where's my knife? There it is. Right. Slice the chicken breast. Well, I'll tell you what, my feet are bloody freezing. I think I'm going to break the chicken up into smaller pieces, I think. So I use the MSR ceramic cook sets, quite handy. I've had a couple of the skillets, and to be honest, like if you burn anything on there, it just ruins the skillet, so you have to be careful of that, but this pan seems to be alright. Okay, this is where it gets fun, because these Scotch bonnets are going to bloody sting my eyes. Those Scotch bonnets are definitely starting to fill this tent full of terribly high Scoville steam. Oh, bloody hell. Almost done with this, I think. Give it another minute or two and then add the rice. Good thing about cooking with stuff that's already cooked is you don't really need to worry too much about dying of food poisoning on a mountain. Alright. Oof, that's really lemony, that rice. Very good. That wind's not doing too bad at all, to be honest. Like, I thought it was going to be much windier than this. But I mean, the forecast does say that from 3 AM onwards is when it kicks off. Got some Nando's sauce there, extra hot, just to complement the Scotch bonnets. And rightio. Usually when I cook like this, it's outside. I usually just stick to dehydrated meals in the winter because it's just easier to do in your tent. And in the summer when you've got loads of time, I usually like to cook quite elaborate meals and stuff. Right, I think we're all good. Yep, excellent stuff. Right. So, get this gas off straight away. Don't you come, wind. Don't you ruin my meal. Oh. I mean, to be honest, like if that wind started getting absolutely crazy right now, I'd still eat that first before I escaped. Okay. Oh. Get into a position now where I can keep my feet toasty. So there we have it. Chicken and chorizo spicy rice. Right then, let's have a little go at this, see what it tastes like. Very nice. So what I'll do, I'll tuck into this and then I'll come back and we'll have a little chat about mental health and the outdoors, how it affects me in particular. But I do know that there are other people who feel similar to me. So I'll catch you in a bit. Right then, so I've took all my clothes off except for my base layers. I'm in my sleeping bag now. So I just wanted to explain what happened a bit on Friday. So this is really common, and I know I'm not the only person who has this. A fellow YouTuber, Chris Cleave, he has a similar problem, so I believe. And basically, just there's lots of factors to it, but just getting the motivation to go out is peculiar. You know, I've suffered from depression most of my life. I say all my life really, and I've probably never felt as good as I have since I've been into the outdoors, and that's going to be because I'm healthier than I was back when I was drinking, but also, you know, the endorphins and being out in the outdoors. But what's really peculiar, given how much I know the outdoors help and how much I love it, it's such a strange thing that I would find it a massive struggle to actually get out. So I love the outdoors and I know it's good for me, so it makes no sense whatsoever that I would struggle so much to get out. On Friday when I first came up Helvellyn, I was still lay on my bed. It had gone 12 o'clock. I had everything packed. There's no need whatsoever for me to have procrastinated that much, but I just couldn't motivate myself to actually get in that car and drive to the Lake District. And I'll actually tell you as well, like several times I've actually driven all the way to the Lake District, got out of the car, got straight back in the car and drove home. And each time I've done that, the whole journey, you know, I'll be driving there and I'll be trying to motivate myself, thinking to myself, well, as soon as I get out, I'll do it and I'll be good. And it just wasn't enough. And, you know, there have been times when I've managed to motivate myself, and within 5 minutes of hiking, I'm like, I fucking love this. Why did I even struggle? Do you know, it doesn't make any sense to most people. Do you know, something that you know you love, something that you know helps you mentally, why would you not want to do it? You know, but that's kind of the way it works, isn't it? You know, like our brains are knobheads and they do like to fuck us over, to put it bluntly, you know. It's a very strange thing. It's hard for me to kind of put my finger on why it is, and I'm sure the people who suffer kind of similar to myself find it really hard to understand why it is. You know that it is, you know that you struggle to get out, but you don't quite understand why, because by all accounts it just makes no sense whatsoever. I go through kind of, you know, phases where I'm hyper motivated, and, you know, this channel, for example, you know, that's been something that's helped to motivate me. There's lots of things that you can do to help motivate yourself. You know, I tend to buy a lot of gear when I'm struggling for motivation. If I haven't wild camped for a while, I'll buy a new tent, or I'll buy a new sleeping mat, or something like that. Just something to motivate myself. But I mean, the problem with that is it's quite short-lived, really. You know, it might get me out once or twice, but it's not enough to address the underlying problem. So, and the underlying problem, I don't know, fuck knows what that is. I'm struggling to articulate myself, really, to be honest, because it's kind of a personal thing, and I do know inside what it is, and you know how I can address it. But the irony of it all is that the cure is being on the mountains, you know. So it makes no sense whatsoever that I would struggle to go on them. Come on, you gusty bastard. So it makes very little sense that I would struggle so much to actually get out on the mountains, knowing that it's going to make me feel positive, and you know that's going to have a lasting effect. I'm going to feel positive for a few days after a hike. And the times that I've managed to motivate myself, and rather than getting back in the car and fucking off home, the times that I've gone up the hill, within 5 or 10 minutes, I'm just loving it. And I'm saying to myself, like, well, why am I struggling to do this? Knowing this should be enough to completely quash the lack of motivation, but it just doesn't work that way. You know, it's like knowing that you're going to love it just doesn't seem enough to convince yourself that you're going to love it. And so I don't know. Very strange. Just to kind of talk a little bit more generally as well, I'm really happy that over maybe the last 10 years or so, people, males in particular, have opened up a lot more about mental health. It seems it's not like a taboo subject anymore. There's no stigma attached to it anymore the way that there used to be. So people are talking about it more, and I think that can only be a good thing. Me personally, I've been open about it for pretty much forever. Do you know, I don't see it as a weakness to admit it. I see it as a strength more than anything else. You know, so and I'm glad to see that kind of lots of other people are starting to see it that way. You know. But anyway, I'm not going to go into it too much. You know, that's the reason why things messed up on Friday. And to be honest with you, like, this channel was actually quite motivational in getting me to actually come out today, because I was just going to ditch the footage that I took on Friday. And then I just thought to myself on the way down when I was getting near the car, you know, rather than like kind of just throwing the footage away, I can kind of tell a little bit of a story, you know, about how there can be a struggle sometimes, and or you know, hopefully show that, you know, with a little bit of motivation, a little bit of positive thinking, you can conquer everything. God damn it. But like seriously, you know, that's, you know, it's a kind of a two-part thing, really. Do you know, obviously there was a little part of me that was thinking, oh, that'll make good content. Do you know, like a failed attempt followed by a successful attempt. Even if on the way home I have an accident and all the footage gets destroyed, the fact that the whole idea motivated me enough to get out and do this wild camp is just worth it on its own. Do you know, if I can make a good video out of it, then that's a bonus, obviously. Itchy nose. So it's a pretty cold one. I've just checked, and it's actually 0.6 degrees inside the tent. So I think it's about -6 or 7 outside, and with the wind chill -15. It's quite a kind of damp night because I'm inside a thick kind of cloud, so I actually have to have some ventilation going. So I am actually feeling some of that wind chill. Not all of it, obviously, but yeah. But anyway, that's enough from me. I'm going to wrap myself up inside this lovely quilt and get myself warm. Well, 12:15 in the night, and I can hear wind like constantly everywhere, but for some reason I'm not actually getting it. I'm only getting the occasional gust. Anyway, I'll try and get myself some sleep, and I'll get back to you if the wind picks up or if anything interesting happens. Maybe a demon pops by to slice me up. I don't know. Yeah, there's been some pretty vicious gusts going on, so I do need to kind of be mindful that I'm in a pretty precarious place, so I should be alright. I don't think there's much chance I'm going to get any sleep. And it's gotten really, really cold in here because the mesh is totally frozen up. And there's snow all over my boots outside, which is, it's obviously not snow from the outside, it's just frozen falling condensation. I had to bring my boots inside last night because they were absolutely getting snowed on, but it's just my condensation. Packing up's always the least fun part of camping, especially when it's pretty shitty weather like this. While I'm at it, I'll refill me water. Yeah. So this little Mammut kind of water pouch that I have on my waist works a treat. Found myself drinking way more than I would normally. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pack up, and then I'll probably go for a little mooch on the tops while I'm already up here. Nethermost Pike, is it? Dollywagon Pike. Dollywagon Pike has got to be one of the most ridiculous names for any mountain ever. It just reminds me of something out of the Wacky Races. So, always have a massive towel with me for drying stuff. So again, my quilt system worked an absolute treat. There was no moisture whatsoever on my down quilt, but my synthetic over quilt was absolutely saturated, and I was able to just like kind of dry it off a couple of times in the night with this. Yeah, so really impressed with that. It was a bit of an experiment to see if it'd work, and it does. It bloody well does work. So happy with that. So I have my coffee lukewarm because I'm a weirdo, so it doesn't take me too long to get it done in the morning. I've never tried this coffee before, hope it's not shit. I'll fold up this here coffee packaging and turn it into a spoon to stir. No. Not too shabby. Got myself all packed up, just need to knock the tent down now. So the tricky thing about doing dead man anchors is getting them out in the morning. As you can see, they're all completely buried. The easiest way to get them out is, you know, you've done a T, so you know that that's going to be the T there. You can dig down this side, and then you'll eventually be able to yank upwards and pull it out. Christ, I have to be really careful though, because that tent's just going to blow away otherwise. But I need to get these out. Anyway, I'm going to stop recording so I don't lose my tent. Okay, so as always, leave no trace. Well, I've just been chasing a runaway glove halfway down the mountain. Can't believe I actually found it, to be honest. But, right, so I'm all packed up now. Literally, I'm 30 seconds away from the trig point. Gotta love the winter. I absolutely love the way that you can camp in places you can't normally camp because of the snow. Boo-boo! So my next video is going to be in Scotland, doing a summit camp on Ben Nevis. I'm just waiting for the right weather for that, because I'm going to be doing the CMD arete and probably a grade 1 or 2 gully as well. So I don't want there to be any wind for that particular camp. Yeah, it was a very strange night last night. Even though I was right on the very edge, I seemed to be missing most of the wind. I could hear it howling everywhere around me, but I only ever seemed to get the gusts. So I'd get hit by like a pretty vicious 40-mile-an-hour-ish gust, but I didn't have that constant wind all night. So a very interesting night. I didn't get too much sleep, maybe half an hour here, half an hour there. Every time I was hit by a gust, it'd just wake me up. So pros and cons of camping. Well, thanks very much for watching, and I'm impressed that you've made it this far. So if you think that you got anything from this video, if you enjoyed it, thought it was entertaining, or you learnt anything, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It really does help. I'm really trying to grow the channel, and it is happening slowly but surely. So every little helps, as they say. So I'll see you next time. Thank you.